mean, any way to see victory against Clemson is a good way. I mean, honestly, from what we've endured since, the last time that we beat them in 2010. So, yeah, really, really a great job to stay the course um, by all parties, and I actually tweeted. So the drive after Miami went down 14-7, I said, this drive right here on offense is the ball game. And everybody said, nah. I said, this is the ball game. Because Emory Williams hadn't shown any propensity to go down the field. Um, you know, it the field wasn't super tilted Clemson's way, but like it was looking not great. And I believe Mario Cristobal had the same thought because of the way that he called that or allowed that to be called. Like, you're going for it on fourth down multiple times on that drive. So you're going for third and get me half of it and make it manageable because we're going on fourth down from our side of the 50 and then a little bit further up the field. Like there was a desperation in the way that series was played. And ultimately, Miami did not score on that one, gave up the field goal afterwards to go down 17-7. And I said, man, and the 7 points was, one Brashard Smith run, basically. Well, not basically, totally. They got loose for 80. Did not feel great about that, honestly. It felt like, the slow demise of like a boa constrictor or something. Like it was just like, solid verbal shout out to them. That was a crock potting. Like, it had been 5 hours since we left the house. That pot roast is starting to get nice and tender. The potatoes in that crock pot that we just set on medium, like it felt like it was about a wrap. And, good on Miami, man, just to come back that next drive, 9 minutes, 17 play, 82 yards for the touchdown. That was, the second or third throw over 5 yards of the game for Emory Williams to touchdown to Colby Young, and everything. It was just it really spoke to how Mario wants to play. And the Texas A&M game was the first instance of a proof of concept like win, that with the talent on the roster that he's accumulating, you can go toe-to-toe with one of the more talented rosters in America and win. That game pales in comparison to this Clemson game because this one looked the way Mario wants it to look. Because the first one, that was, okay, we're going to throw the ball over the place. They can't check us. They can't guard us. We're going up top. We're scoring 40-something. Hey, we're leaning on them in the second half, running the ball, and defensively just, eating their lunch all day long. Like, do you know how many yards Clemson had in the fourth quarter? Because I know the answer.
38.
5. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. 5 yards of total offense in the fourth quarter. When they needed 3 and outs to get off the field, that last Clemson drive of regulation, 18 seconds. Incompletion. That was almost an incredible interception by Cam Kinchins, right? So 5 singular yards, like one hand worth of offensive yards in that fourth quarter. Defense turned it all the way up. He hadn't even gotten to the star of the day, Ruben Bain. My God. I mean, just unblockable. Left tackle, right tackle, guards. Go look up his whole entire game highlights. He's ragdolling dudes. He did a hump move that made people invoke the name of NFL Hall of Famer Reggie White as an 18-year-old freshman going up against a junior offensive tackle, said, "Yoink, bye. Get out my way." Right? If you don't want to move, then I'm respectfully going to relocate you and go do what I got to do. Right? That right there looked like what Mario Cristobal wants it to look like. And that's the difference between the Texas A&M game and this game. It was physicality on both sides of the ball. Clemson previously usurped Miami because Miami was the number one rush defense in the conference, gave up 200 and something to Carolina, fell down to number 3, and Clemson was only giving up 50 something yards a game. They ran for 211 against Clemson, added about 40 yards to their season average. So now they're the third best rush defense in the conference, but only held Clemson to 38 yards, Mark's previous number, and now Miami has the most impactful and stingy run defense in the conference. That's what Mario wants it to look like. And it was very frustrating not playing with a little bit more tempo when we got the ball back at the end of regular, because Miami got the ball back with like a minute 2 left, right? After another 3 and out by Clemson in regulation. But you're really trusting a true freshman starting quarterback in Emory Williams to do what he did in only 2 occasions that game, which is to hit a throw in traffic when Clemson knew he was going to throw the ball. And there was like the one square in to Colby Young for a completion, and there was like another one of those, maybe the touchdown throw, but like there was precious few of those into traffic. And Mario said, no, we're not going to do that. But what the second half it showed him was Clemson ain't about that life. Like they're not as physical as we are. So if you get into a compacted game, 25 yards and in, now for the win, I feel very confident about my guy. And like I get the confidence after the fact, you know what I mean? But like I would have felt a lot better had Mario been able to just be like, hey, I think that we're more physical. We're going to overtime because they can't stop us on a 25-yard field. Good, got it. Don't worry about it. Boom. But yeah, it was a yeoman's performance, and to the point in overtime, before that 4th down play, the final play of the game, when Cade Klubnik decided that he didn't want to give the inside zone to Will Shipley and just, hope that everybody was going to crash to the inside and nobody would be out there. First of all, shout out to Corey Flagg. Played terribly at North Carolina to the point where he got benched for most of the, last part of that game and first part of this game. Comes out there and wins the Trent Harris Memorial Do Your Job Award. You know what I mean? And we talked about Trusty Trent not being the greatest athlete, but every week, what did he do? His job. Corey Flagg on that play, beautiful scrape exchange over the top and linebacker, did his job. He was right there. But before that play, Miami calls the timeout. And there are people in the press box like, yo, it got down to 7 or 6. Clemson might have had to go a little quicker than they wanted. And I said, look, the last time that Miami called a timeout before a play was that 3rd down, the last play of the previous drive in first overtime. And Lance Guidry dialed up a perfect package. I have confidence he's going to dial up the exact right thing coming out of this, has the play down, winning the ball game on defense right here. And people looked at me. I mean, people with credentials and names that you know. In my section of the press box that I've been in for nigh on a decade now, friends of mine in enough ways, right? Looked at me and turned around because I sit in the third, there's 3 rows, with workspaces. Me and Brandon O'Doy and Brian London sit in the 3rd row, so the final row. And there are people from the front row going, what? Who? Huh? I said, he just proved the last time that we did this on defense, he got it. We got it. Boom. As soon as Klubnik goes outside and 11 is there in perfect form, like, where are you going, buddy? I said, yeah, just like that, because you can't cheer in the press box. Literally just like that. And people, I said, and was it from when Colbert was hosting the Daily Show? I told you so. I told you so. It was me, and I did. But it was such a great game. It was a great effort. It was not perfect, but yeah, about halfway. I mean, when it was tied at 7 in the 3rd quarter, that's when I really thought, hey, this is a game that's winnable. And It absolutely was. Credit to the team for rallying. Credit to them for playing their butts off. And I'm glad that they came off the sideline with as much joy as they did for the accomplishment that they had. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Nate Wiggins and everybody from Clemson who's crying, win with class, lose with class. Y'all ran the score up on Miami every fucking time for the last decade. 15, 17, 20, and 22. I remember the years, guys. Y'all ran up the score and scored in your last possession in all of those games. And we said, look, we couldn't stop it. Just like Jimmy Johnson said, hey, my backups want to play, right? Remember when Kelly Bryant got loose for 75 yards in the 58-0, right? Your backups want to play. Hey, if you got a problem with it, stop it. I said, cool. All right. But there's going to come a day when y'all aren't like that and we get a dub and we're going to celebrate. Oh, well, I mean, that's not going to happen, but if it did, like, and now y'all want to bitch and moan and complain about it? Nah, buddy, you can't have it both ways because y'all ran it up against Miami again, 178-30 over 4 games, right? That happened. So now when the shoe's on the other foot, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, right? It's good over here for me, though.
2 questions. One based on not your final point about the celebration and the angst on the other side, but about the previous football point about how Miami was the more physical team. The game went to overtime. So if Miami loses in overtime, you come away from that obviously disappointed because it's all about W's and L's, but more so because it sounds like you would have thought this game was stolen to a certain extent. Not like, not from an officiating standpoint, but just okay.
We can talk about that, but no, I mean, no. To your point, that it would have been a bitter pill to swallow. It would have definitely felt like sand slipping through our fingers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was a very gettable game. That was a very winnable game. And if we had not, then I mean, I would feel maybe a little bit the way that Clemson feels, like it, because I know they felt that was a winnable game. They were up 17-7.
Well, if you go to overtime,